It was a nasty kind of ending to it all. That was supposed to be a very glorious year, which it certainly was for a large portion of it. And Dylan Gabriel, if he can execute the offense, why not? We saw Joe Flacco punt a couple times with his arm.
Yep.
We saw some bad Joe Flacco, even though we had seen some great Joe Flacco for the Cleveland Browns a couple years back. Feels like a quarterback change was inevitable. And with how good their defense is, I don't think it's over for this Cleveland Browns team. If Dylan Gabriel can come in there and play some ball, why? Dylan Gabriel is his size, which is certainly not the size of other quarterbacks. Certainly Carson Wentz, who is very tall. I mean Carson is a
big boy,
large individual. But let's talk about Dylan Gabriel. And the only knock really is, can he see? Is he going to be able to handle it all? How about some big-time shots? We've seen undersized, and we're only saying undersized because in real life they're normal size. More athletic, more jacked than most people. On a football field, though, at that particular position with who you're standing behind and who is trying to tackle you, size seemingly can't.
It began like every Cleveland story does. Loud, chaotic, and doomed to twist into something no one saw coming. The Browns were supposed to ride a wave of redemption, a glorious season of grit and grind. But beneath the cheers and the hype, the cracks were already forming. The kind of cracks that only Pat McAfee could notice before the world did. He leaned forward on set, that sly smirk spreading across his face.
Shedeur is way better than Dylan Gabriel. He just is. If Shedeur had started from the start, game one against Cincinnati at home, they would be the talk of the NFL right now because I look at the fourth quarter yesterday, they go 0 for 4 on third down because Dylan was playing not to lose. Don't throw it to them, don't put it on the ground. And he did a great job of that. But on one of those third downs, you have to try to make a play to win the football game. And trust me, no matter what Stefanski called, Shedeur would try to win the football game because it's how he was raised. You're going to make a play because you were born to make a play.
Like a man about to drop a bomb he knew would rattle the NFL to its core. "Something's off in Cleveland," he said, voice laced with that trademark mischief. And the moment those words left his lips, the sports world froze. What he hinted at wasn't just about football. It was about something deeper, messier, and much more dangerous.
What do you think about whenever it comes to handling this entire situation? This is a tough situation for a third-round draft pick who's trying to make his career, and then a guy that's drafted 2 rounds after him is obviously the topic of conversation all offseason, all training camp, even when he gets his start, topic of conversation. He has maintained kind of locked-in, laser-like focus. I love the way he has handled it. He obviously has a chance with his arm. What do you expect from him with the Browns? And has he always been this guy that is like the utmost professional, seemingly?
Yeah, I'm with you. I go back to anytime you're looking at a young quarterback. I personally look at how many reps he had as a collegiate.
The Browns had a secret, and it wore a quarterback's jersey. Dylan Gabriel, the quiet, methodical passer, suddenly stood in the Storm's center. A college veteran, undersized by NFL standards, but smart, composed, and surgical with the ball. He wasn't supposed to be the guy, but somehow he was.
Because we want to see Shedeur, let's grade it fairly. That's all I'm saying.
I graded it fairly. Like,
you really you said I want him to play bad so Shedeur could get
I do, but some teachers might want this kid to do bad, but when he turned that test in, she just got to grade that.
I believe Shedeur's better as well, but if we're going to grade, stop grading with bias.
All right, grading without bias. QBR for the game. Dylan Gabriel was a 38 on
He made a rookie after 3 days of
QBR
practice.
don't lie, man.
It doesn't lie.
Take the name off of it, bro. Just look at the numbers. The stats say the QBR was...
Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, the golden prodigy, the name that made headlines before he ever threw a pass in the league, was left on the sidelines, helmet on, expression unreadable. That alone was enough to make Cleveland restless. This city breathes dysfunction like oxygen, but this time it felt different.
What do you want me to really say about Dylan Gabriel over the next 3.5 hours? Well, he was composed. Great. You know how he conducted himself? He conducted himself how a career backup should conduct himself, where you just hope that you're able to hold down the fort until the regular starter comes back. The problem is, we don't have a regular starter that comes back. Well, we do, but nobody wants to see him. So nobody wants that to happen. So here we have to hope that Dylan Gabriel, a guy who is certainly limited, a guy who's smart enough to probably be a coach in the NFL someday, has to go out there and conduct an offense. And we just little bit. And we have to hope that Quinshon Judkins is able to carry us into the end zone, and we don't have a holding call on it. Because we got 2 guys there who are again replacing another guy who had replaced another guy who just didn't.
This wasn't just bad luck or bad coaching. This was politics disguised as play calling. McAfee knew it. You could hear it in his tone, see it in his grin. He had sources, whispers from deep inside Berea's walls, and those whispers told a story the Browns weren't ready for. The depth chart, on paper, made no sense. Gabriel over Shedeur, a rookie outshining a future star.
Did Dylan Gabriel just lock up QB1 in Cleveland? In his first career start, he was 19 of 33, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And if the Vikings don't score here on their final drive under a minute to go, he likely leaves London with a win. But as good as those stats were, he was only 3 for 10 on passes 10 or more yards downfield. And the QBR of just 38 does leave a little to be desired, a lot of short passes. But this is a strong Vikings defense, and he was the first quarterback this year to have 2 passing touchdowns against them. But this Browns team does have a lot of other quarterback options. But what do you grade?
Fans weren't buying it, analysts weren't buying it, and McAfee. He was about to prove why they shouldn't. "Something's cooking in Cleveland," he said, tapping the desk like a judge about to drop a verdict. "And it ain't just football."
I don't know what's more funny though. The guy yelling at him to the right or the dude to the left that just can't contain himself, that just wants to interrupt. And look, y'all got mad at me for saying it yesterday. Even people in Cleveland are saying it. He did okay. He managed the game. He got them just enough. The minute that he took a chance at the end of the game, he threw a pick. Got a second chance, and then he went short. Every pass he threw wasn't even over 5.5 yards. That's safe. That's okay. That's taking no chances and relying on everybody else to do their job.
That line hit harder than a Myles Garrett tackle. Twitter exploded. ESPN producers scrambled. Every podcast, every radio show suddenly had one question. What did McAfee know that no one else did? Reports trickled out.
Yeah, I think there's always something to build on. No moral victories whatsoever, but I think regardless of result, week to week, there's a process, and more time you spend around anyone, you're going to get more continuity, and that's QB to receiver, that's QB to running back, that's us as a whole unit coming together, really getting comfortable with our unit.
Anonymous sources spoke in riddles. Some said it was about locker room politics. Others hinted at pressure from upstairs, executives pushing for the safe choice. And suddenly, Dylan Gabriel's calm composure looked less like leadership and more like compliance. Fans started connecting dots. Shedeur's confidence, his edge, his swagger.
Like you said, I thought he played a good game. First thing I said, damn, he's tiny. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Like, what, maybe Baker height?
No, hell no. He wish he was bad. They listed him at 5'11", 5'10" on the wall.
It wasn't being punished for arrogance. It was being benched for being unpredictable. The Browns, a franchise terrified of chaos, had chosen the one thing that made them weaker: comfort. Shedeur's not just another quarterback, McAfee said the next day. He's a storm, and the Browns, they're scared of storms. Boom. Just like that, the internet detonated. Cleveland talk shows turned into therapy sessions. Comment sections became war zones. And through it all, Shedeur stayed silent, his absence louder than any words he could have said. Inside the locker room, the tension was real. Players could feel it. The divide, the whispers, the weight of every decision. Veterans avoided questions. Coaches deflected. But everyone knew the truth. Gabriel might have been running the offense, but the room still belonged to Sanders, and that's what scared the coaching staff most. Kevin Stefanski, calm and calculated, was walking a tightrope. He wanted control, order, predictability. Shedeur? He was electricity, dangerous, thrilling, uncontrollable, the kind of player that could make you win, or implode, in the same quarter. But in a city that's lived decades on heartbreak, the fans didn't care. They wanted fire, not safety. And when McAfee implied that the Browns' decision wasn't unanimous, that even assistant coaches were divided, everything snapped. Some of these coaches know, McAfee teased. They've seen it. They've felt that spark in practice, but they can't say it. Not yet. That "not yet" echoed through the sports world like a countdown. Meanwhile, practice footage started leaking. Shedeur zipping lasers downfield. His footwork crisp. His timing sharp. Every throw looked like a silent protest. And for every completion, the pressure on Gabriel doubled. The fans saw it, the players felt it, and the media smelled blood. Cleveland was eating itself alive from the inside. Local reporters described the atmosphere like a storm cloud ready to burst. One veteran was quoted anonymously, "It's like watching a high school cafeteria after a breakup." You could almost hear the laughter from McAfee's set. He didn't start the fire. He just made sure everyone saw the smoke. Stefanski tried to hold it together. He spoke in sound bites, safe words like process and evaluation. But each word only made it worse. The city wanted authenticity. They wanted Shedeur. They wanted to believe in something again. The story didn't end when the final whistle blew. In Cleveland, it never does. The Browns had survived Week 1 with Dylan Gabriel at the helm, but survival wasn't enough. Fans demanded spectacle, risk, a quarterback who could electrify a city starved for excitement. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders continued his silent protest. Every practice rep a statement, every throw a reminder of what the Browns were missing. Stefanski's cautious approach began to crack under the weight of reality. He wanted order, predictability, structure, but the team around him was anything but. The offense shuffled, the rhythm off, and even the defense seemed impatient, sensing the tension like static in the air before a storm. McAfee, ever the puppeteer of chaos, stoked the fire with precision, dropping hints and teasing the truth with that signature smirk. "Watch the room," he said on air. "The real story isn't on the field. It's in the silence between plays." And the city listened. Every social media post, every headline, feeding the frenzy. Analysts compared this quarterback saga to Baker Mayfield's infamous battles. But this time, stakes were higher, emotions sharper, the potential for disaster greater. The narrative became a game within the game, an invisible battle for the soul of the Browns. Each week, Gabriel delivered safe, calculated football. Short passes, careful reads, minimizing mistakes. But fans weren't satisfied. The energy in the stadium was fractured, a delicate mix of hope and frustration. Shedeur's presence loomed large, a ghost of possibility, and the whisper of what could be became a roar. McAfee's influence was undeniable. He didn't just report. He orchestrated tension, revealing fragments of truth, hints of locker room politics, the hidden fractures in Stefanski's strategy. Every critique, every praise, every anecdote became part of the unfolding drama. Week 2 arrived, and the pressure cooker intensified. Gabriel's performance wavered under scrutiny, moments of brilliance punctuated by hesitation. Every incomplete pass, every conservative decision magnified in a city already restless. Stefanski tried to mask anxiety with the language of process, but the air was thick with expectation and fear. The coaching staff murmured among themselves, some advocating for a shift, some clinging to structure. The divide widened, and McAfee's smirk on live television felt like a spotlight, exposing every fissure. Then came the turning point. Practice footage leaked, showing Shedeur launching precise, powerful passes in closed drills. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One quarterback safe, restrained, and methodical. The other dynamic, fearless, and electric. The whispers became a chorus, the city's impatience grew, and the narrative shifted yet again. Social media lit up with debate, memes, hot takes, and speculation. Cleveland had always loved chaos, and now it had a story worthy of legend. By midweek, rumors of a quarterback switch began circulating. Unofficially, Shedeur started taking first-team reps again. The energy in the building shifted immediately. The previously cautious offense now looked alive, confident, dangerous. Players responded with renewed intensity, the defense sharpened, and even Stefanski's composure showed cracks. It was a delicate balance between admitting past mistakes and preserving authority. McAfee had predicted the swing, but even he couldn't have anticipated the speed at which the city reacted. When the news finally broke publicly, Cleveland erupted. Fans flooded the stadium, social media exploded, and the energy became almost tangible. The city had found hope in Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback they wanted but had been denied, a symbol of risk over safety, passion over predictability. Gabriel, still present and professional, accepted the shift with calm dignity, but the narrative had moved. The Browns were no longer just a team, they were a story, a drama playing out in real time. Every game a chapter, every play a line of dialogue in a suspenseful saga of identity, ambition, and chaos. Week 3 arrived, and with Shedeur leading, the Browns looked different, energized, unpredictable, dangerous, but still flawed. The risk he brought was palpable, the excitement intoxicating. Gabriel's earlier starts were reframed not as failures, but as the calm before the storm, the prelude to a narrative that would grip the city and the league alike. McAfee's commentary continued to dominate airwaves, dissecting every decision, highlighting every tension, and keeping the drama alive. Analysts compared it to past quarterback controversies, but this one had a cinematic intensity, a suspenseful rhythm that mirrored a Hollywood thriller. Every decision, every snap, every sideline expression became fodder for discussion, a pulse-quickening spectacle. Cleveland wasn't just watching football, it was witnessing a narrative unfold, a high-stakes battle of temperament, talent, and strategy.
So Dylan Gabriel just made his first start against the Minnesota Vikings, and unfortunately he was unable to get a victory. Carson Wentz had an insane drive to win the game 21-17. But my thoughts on Gabriel in this game, I thought it's a very promising start. I'd probably give it like a B+, just because he didn't really put the ball in harm's way. Maybe one time there could have potentially been a pick, but it was a lot of quick, short passes, and I thought that for what the Browns had really asked him to do in this game, he looked really, really good against a really good Vikings defense that came in top 10, 9th best scoring defense, and Gabriel matched Joe Flacco's touchdowns, passing touchdowns.